Hello everyone. Today's report will focus on hospital patients' meals, especially food left uneaten. The country context is Malaysia, while the hospital remain generic. I will examine practical ways to reduce emissions across consumption and waste management, while considering upstream production, distribution, and kitchen energy. Each approach includes its strengths and limitations, followed by a realistic hospital action plan. This topic is significant to me because, as a physiotherapist, I see how illness, fatigue, restricted diets, and poor appetite affect eating. I also see patients reject meals that seem tasteless or unappealing. A Malaysian study of 95 patients receiving texture-modified diet found mean plate weight of 47.5%. Appearance and variety were independent predictors. It involves one hospital and one diet group, so it is not a national average. Still, it shows the double cost. Patients may miss nutrition need for recovery, while the resource and emissions used to produce, transport, chill, and cook the meal have already occurred. I separate three kinds of evidence. First are Malaysian laws, policies, certification systems are already operating nationally or in participating jurisdictions. Second are technologies promoted by Malaysian agencies and researchers. Third are hospital-ready practice supported by healthcare food service study, but not necessarily used everywhere. This avoid overclaiming. Adoption still depends on hospital size, contracts, state coverage, capital, staff capacity, and nearby treatment facilities. The recommendations therefore combine national direction with actions a generic hospital could test and evaluate. The order of action matters. Prevention has the highest value because it avoids upstream emissions and supports patient nutrition. If, say, surplus was never served, redistribution may be possible. Unavoidable scraps and plate returns should then be separate from composting or anaerobic digestion where suitable facility exists. Landfill is last because organic waste can generate methane. Energy efficiency, sustainable sourcing, and measurement cut across the hierarchy. Prevention is therefore the priority, with safe recovery routes for genuine unavoidable waste. So the first approach is to measure and prevent waste. A hospital can track grams of edible waste per meal through short weighting audits or validate visual methods. Then identify high waste wards, items, and diets. Ordering closer to service, smaller portions with top-ups, attractive plating, correct temperature, and feeding assistance can improve intake. The strength is simultaneous support for recovery and avoidance of upstream Scope 3 emission, with possible purchasing savings. The limits are clinical, appetite changes, some patients cannot choose freely, and therapeutic diets must remain safe. Measurement and personalized service also require staff time, digital integration, and careful patient data handling. The second approach targets kitchen and cold room energy. Hospitals can submeter major equipment, maintain door seals, optimize temperatures, and check refrigerant leaks. Malaysia Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act 2024 took effect on the 1st of January 2025 and strengthens energy management, audits, and reporting of covered sites. The benefit is a direct reduction in Scope 1 fuel or refrigerant emissions and Scope 2 electricity, often with lasting savings. Limitations include capital costs, retrofit disruption, coverage thresholds, and geographic boundaries. An efficient kitchen can still produce an uneaten meal, so energy action must accompany prevention. The third approach links hospitals to sustainable agriculture through purchasing. Malaysia's MyGAP scheme recognizes farms following good practice for food safety, quality, workers, and the environment. MADI promotes precision rice and smart fertigation that applies seed, fertilizer, pesticides, water, and nutrients more accurately. Hospitals can include traceability, MyGAP participation, and environmental improvement in tenders where supply permits. The strength is leveraged over upstream Scope 3 emissions while supporting food safety. The limitation is that MyGAP is voluntary, not a greenhouse gas certification. Footprints still vary, and seasonal supply price and smallholder capacity may require phased targets and supplier engagement. The fourth approach reduces post-harvest loss before ingredients reach the hospital. MADI promotes post-harvest procedures and low-energy evaporative cooling for suitable vegetables. Its engineering page reports preservation of some vegetables for up to 2 weeks at about 5 degrees Celsius with lower operating costs. Hospitals can reinforce this through supplier specifications, temperature records, rejection feedback, and delivery scheduling. The strength is that more of the crops become usable and quality is protected. Performance, however, depends on commodity, humidity, and food safety. A vegetable technology may not suit meats or dairy, while extra packaging or cooling can shift impacts. Local life cycle performance must be checked. The fifth approach is safe redistribution. Malaysia's Food Donors Protection Act 2020 helps enable good faith donation within its conditions. In hospitals, the boundary must be strict. Only safe food never served, such as eligible unopened items or controlled bulk surplus, should be considered. Patient plate returns must never be donated. Redistribution preserves social value and can avoid disposal, but food safety, allergens, therapeutic diets, short service window, cold chain transport, and recipient capacity create limits. Donation is therefore secondary, not an excuse for overproductions. Prevention remains first. The sixth approach is source separation and organics recovery. Preparation scraps and unavoidable plate waste can be collected from composting or anaerobic digestion where facility exists. Compost returns nutrients while digestion can produce biogas. Malaysia's NDC 3.0 calls for more methane capture, and the circular economy blueprint gives broader direction. Strengths are avoided landfill methane and better waste data. Limits include contamination, transport, odor, pests, facility access, and digester cost and skill. Benefit also depends on real methane capture and useful compost or digestate. Recovery manages unavoidable waste but cannot replace lost patient nutrition. Malaysia framework is broad rather than hospital specific. NDC 3.0 covers agriculture and waste and calls for more methane capture. NAP 2.0 promotes a sustainable technology-driven agro-food system. MyGAP supports farm practice. EECA 2024 strengthens energy management for cover sites. X672 frames solid waste, and X826 enables responsible donation. The circular economic blueprint supports recovery. These levers connect hospital procurement, energy, and waste to national direction. Their limitation is fragmentation. They do not replace a hospital baseline, nutritional safeguards, accountable targets, suitable local infrastructure, or attention to jurisdictional difference. A practical 12-month roadmap for a hospital. A hospital can act within 1 year. First, measure by waste by ward and diet, gather patient feedback and map energy and disposal routes. Next, pilot ordering, portion, presentation and feeding support changes in 2 wards with clinical oversight. Then integrate kitchen energy controls, supplier criteria, safe surplus procedures, and source separation. In the final quarter, expand only successful measures and secure recovery partners. Indicators include grams and edible waste per meal, patient intake and satisfaction, energy and carbon per meal, and contamination. Nutrition, safety, safe staff time, and service reliability are balancing measures so carbon reduction never undermines care. So in conclusion, carbon neutrality in hospital food is not merely a waste bin project. It begins with a safe, suitable meal the patient can eat. Prevention protects nutrition and avoids upstream emissions. Energy management and sustainable purchasing reduce every meal's footprint. Redistribution and organics recovery then manage surplus and avoidable waste. Malaysia has useful policies and innovation. Hospitals must connect them through measurement, patient-centered design, partnership, and transparent results. These references combine Malaysian official source, peer review, hospital study, and the United Nations Food Waste Report.